Have you ever heard of this game? And if you have, let me know your thoughts down below. But check out this guy, Pooky. Let's bring him to life.
I was scrolling through my YouTube feed and this game popped up, and intriguing enough, the character Pooky caught my attention. If you don't know what this game is, Imaginary Friend Asylum, it is a psychological horror style game where you're a child in an insane asylum. The game is based in 1949 and you're a patient at Hawthorne's Children's Asylum, and there you'll discover and find all these disturbing things and such, and like ghosts. Like, I personally love the aesthetics of this game. It kind of fits right up in my alley of how my brain decides to work at times. But as you see, Pooky definitely caught my attention when I was scrolling through YouTube. His appearance was very captivating, a little more detailed than what I'm used to, and I definitely wanted to challenge myself with this project, and I made him slightly more detailed in his face than what's depicted in the game, just because I was having that much fun with him. But you can look around. It was a little bit hard to find some things about these characters. I guess that's from getting information for a lot of these indie horror games. There's not a whole lot out there, so what I can find, it's still pretty fascinating to me. Pooky, well, he is the main antagonist and the final bosses from the game, friends we've left behind, and he's the most deadly character from the imaginary friends within the game. He doesn't really have a known background at this time, at least that I can't find anything. He's definitely very intelligent, and he's speculated to be an emotional character at this point, where he's kind of attached to another character. I'm not going to say who, for the sake of not spoiling it for those who actually want to play this game. But his character is very, I don't know, it's very unique. It's very dark and twisted, but he has a very poetic personality, which definitely does it contrast. So to me, that just makes his whole concept and his whole being more unique and more intriguing to me. The game was developed by Grant Mars, who I reached out to on the platform, and he seems to be excited about me creating this, and I hope he does like this. So if you're listening, Grant, holler. But with this project, I'm actually using Super Sculpey Living Doll. It's a clay I have not used before. I definitely love Sculpey in general, the brand. But this clay is actually very, very forgiving. It smooths and blends very easily. It kind of reminisces a little bit of Sculpey 3 for those who are familiar with the softness of it. But I would definitely, after this project, probably just use it more along for like faces and not so much for full figure. But as you see, we had the armature, we used ultralight for the base, and we just been going at it while I've been just talking my head off about Pooky. Yeah, snakes of clay, slice them up, slap them onto the armature. I was using Bacon Bond or liquid clay adhesive. Using anything and everything you can get your hands on. There's no right or wrong way to do anything. As long as the end product comes out fantastic and you yourself are happy with it, and that's really all that matters. So for like folds, wrinkles, I kind of use like thicker, thinner brushes, the back end of them, because I'm still, personally myself, still trying to practice and get some of those wrinkles and stuff in. Using some balls, my ball styluses for the buttons on his pants. Using smaller ball styluses left and right throughout this project to just get all them little fine, minute details in there. And I'm sure you've seen in a couple of my previous videos, I finally got a new X-Acto blade and using some broken screen to add a little bit of texture to his clothing. What I could find, because it's kind of hard to see throughout the game, his feet are actually like claws that are kind of partially, or they are attached and are just one with his figure. But it's like black talons coming out of his feet, and that's just kind of how I perceived it. And there's not really a lot of fan art out there, but you can go into my shorts section and see I did a pretty cool drawing of him as well. And if you like what I'm doing here so far, just do me a solid, hit that subscribe button and hit that like button and leave me a comment. This will let YouTube know that I'm pretty awesome and you guys like me, and we'll just continue to spread the word. We're slapping his head onto the figure, and I'm going to throw him in the oven for a bake. So even with the living doll, it still did great in the oven, even with as much as we've been using. But I decided at that point, after doing his legs, I'm just using Super Sculpey Original for his arms. And the gray you see is COS clay. It is a more flexible clay after the oven versus the other clay. It comes out looking like rocks. Off camera, you can see his shoulders are looking a little nice there. I built up them just a little bit because they were looking a little too roundish and a little too childish for me. So kind of stouted them up a little bit. Using COS clay for his hands because I don't want his little fingies to break in any part of the processes. Yeah, I realize this is becoming a pretty lengthy video and just trying to figure out things to say to you without going blue in the face. Now this fella right here, I have no idea what it's called. I don't have a computer in front of me to Google it, but it was actually pretty cool to make with COS clay and just to get all them little wrinkles around it. I don't know why I found joy out of such little things like that, but hey, it made my heart happy and I hope it makes yours. What was interesting is I almost forgot to add these. From what I gather and what I could research, it looks like he has cardboard wings. Not understanding that, nor I couldn't find an explanation, but we made the wings, as they put it. Slathering that thing up with red paint. For the paint, I'm pretty broke, so I use a lot of folk art matte acrylic paint for this. You can get them for a few dollars a piece at your local hobby shop. Very affordable, very effective, and they particularly use the matte acrylic because it gives you that really stop motion animation style that I have here. And I thought another thing that was really fun with this project was the color variations, the stripes. I don't know, something about adding those levels of details to your sculptures. I don't know, it just, for me, it brings out so much excitement within the the figure. And I just overly enjoyed this painting process, aside from a lot of the other ones I have done, because of the uniqueness, because of the complexity. I will admit I had to go over the yellows about 3 to 4 times, using a heat gun in between because I'm very impatient. So there's that, but the end product definitely paid off, and I can be a little rush sometimes, and I did have to go back and repaint a lot of red spots where you can tell I would mess up or just get it where it didn't need to be. I actually really enjoy painting masks like this with the crevices and the details and the, like, I guess you could say like scratch marks and stuff, because like adding those dark colors first and then the black within the eyes, and then just going over that with a dry brush with the light color, it's really satisfying. As you can see right here, just went with the grays, went with the blacks, went with the red for the slices in the middle of his face, and I don't know, just something about that is overly satisfying, and it just A simple trick like this, which if you don't know what dry brushing is, it is basically just putting a little bit of paint on there, wiping it off, and just sliding that brush right across the surface, hitting all those details. And as you see, as it brings out all those colors from underneath. Something unique that I wasn't really able to pull off myself, but I tried because it's the only pink I really had. But the stitching on his shirt and the teeth, unless those are teeth on his shirt, which I'm unsure of, they're all hot pink. And just painting the base black, nothing special here. I typically paint all my bases black just to give them all a uniform look. Using hot glue to put the ruffle thing around his neck. He looks pretty neat without it, but it definitely finishes him off. I did it separately because I didn't want it to interfere with the paints. It made it so much easier. And then I'm just hot gluing his wings to the back. And there he is.
And he is done. Let me know what you think in the comments section down below. And if you haven't already, please consider subscribing. So go ahead and smash that like button if you're enjoying what you see here. And now on to his glamour shots.